Okay, thank you everyone for joining us over your lunch hour here today for our educational and informative program from Downsizing to Rightsizing, where you'll hear from the professionals about the entire downsizing process from decluttering and preparing your home for sale to selling it or renting it at the highest and best possible price to finding your new home and to affording your new home. So I am Bobby Maloro of Maloro Law. I'm here today with our presenters, Miriam Bahar, Julissa Perez, and Alex Escobar. Each of us will present on a topic for about 10 minutes, and we will reserve time at the end for questions. So if you do have any questions as we present today, pop them in the chat. So on the bottom of your screen, you should see a toolbar. There is a box called chat. If you open that up, you can type in your question there. We will monitor that and we will get to those a little bit later. And we will also, at the end of the program, display all of our contact information. If you have a question that comes up later that you want to speak to us privately about, whatever the case may be, you can feel free to reach out to any of us after this program today. And we will be providing all of the registered individuals with a copy of the recording. So we have a lot to cover today, so let's get started. So our path to right sizing starts with decluttering and preparing your home for sale or rental. And we will first hear from Miriam Bahar. She is the owner of A Moving Experience LLC, a South Florida-based company specializing in senior move management. Originally from Venezuela, Miriam holds a degree in business administration from FIU. She brings extensive hands-on experience in nonprofit leadership and formerly served as director of administration for independent assisted living and memory care communities. She's deeply committed to the well-being of the elderly. Miriam now helps seniors organize, downsize, and transition smoothly, whether moving into a care community or aging in place. She's a certified senior move manager through the National Association of Senior Move Managers and is fully licensed and insured. So with that, I will leave it to you, Miriam. Please tell us all about decluttering and organizing and getting your home ready for sale.
Well, thank you so much for that lovely introduction, Bobby, and thank you for having me. Well, I wanted to basically talk a little bit about how important downsizing is to this process. And I love that we are all together because it does take a village, as I always say. Okay, let's go on. So there's a few reasons why people downsize, right? And it all starts usually with the financial benefits. Usually a smaller home often means, lower mortgage payments, utility bills, maintenance costs, and property taxes, less upkeep. The lots are smaller, right? So the downsizing can free people of endless chores and upkeep. The lifestyle changes, empty nesters might not need all that extra space, the extra rooms when the kids move out, go to college. And of course, what I see a lot of is relocation or retirement. So moving to a different city or country, especially after retirement, can be a good reason to downsize. But what we see the most is the health reasons, especially in senior citizens. They might need to move to an independent living, senior living community, memory care, nursing home, whatever it may be after a diagnosis, a fall, or something that might need them to push them into an urgent situation where they need to move, and therefore they might need to downsize from their home of 40, 50, 60 years into a smaller home of, let's say, 2 bedrooms, 1 bedroom apartments. Okay, so actually, when we started talking about a webinar, we realized that May is Mental Health Awareness Month. And this month encourages everybody to have conversations about the well-being and how important mental health affects everyone, not just people with diagnosis, but everybody. It's important to take care of our mental health. And one of the ways that we can take care of our mental health is prioritizing self-care. It helps regulate our mood. It helps improve focus and a sense of self-worth. As we age, self-care is important, very important for us to have a better quality of life. As we age, we tend to do less self-care because we're always taking care of somebody in our lives, whether it be our children, our spouse, our loved one. But we have to remember that it's important for us to stay healthy so that we can care of others. So I wanted to really start this webinar for all of us to do an exercise together and close our eyes and take a deep breath. This we can do anywhere, even if we take a second at work, a second at home, in the morning when we start, before we start our day, or at the end of the day before we go to bed. It's important that we take a breath and visualize our ideal home, an organized, safe, and peaceful home. So just let's take a breath for a second. And remember that this is an important exercise for you to do every day. Okay? We can go on to the next slide. So, downsizing and decluttering is actually considered self-care. Okay? Why is this? Because an organized home, it improves our mental and emotional state. It reduces our daily friction and stress, and it signals our brains to relax. So, if you start your day off with our system that works for you. So let's say you have a dog and you start your day with a walk every day. You walk your dog. If you create a system, let's say that you know where the leash goes, you know where your sneakers are, you know everything that you need in order to make that walk successful, and you know where things go and it's organized, it'll go smoothly. It'll go nice. It'll flow nicely. So that walk will happen quickly. The dog won't bark. He'll be happy. You'll be happy. The rest of your day will flow nice and easy. More chances. But if, let's say, you wake up, the dog's barking, he needs to go, you don't know where you put the leash, your sneakers, one is here, one is there, you don't know where you put your socks, that creates a stress that you could have prepared for if you didn't have that. So the important thing is organization at home is important. And it all starts with routines, knowing what works for you so that you can provide yourself more control and stability. In this world, especially with what's going on, we can't control a lot of it. But if you organize your home in a way that you create your own sanctuary, you come home to decompress, to recharge, so that you can go ahead and do it all over again the next day. So that's the correlation there between decluttering and downsizing into self-care. So just a few statistics here on the hidden impact of clutter and health. We all, I'm sure, have had trips where you don't have to be a senior to fall, with a rug that you didn't see or something that was in a spot where it shouldn't be. So in a cluttered home, there can be falls. It's a fall hazard that can lead to injuries. Excessive belongings can also harbor dust and allergens that can lead to breathing problems, headaches, etc. Chronic clutter can trigger fight or flight response and increase risk of type 2 diabetes and heart disease. There's also statistics that show that 73% of people feel overwhelmed when their home is untidy. That's a very, very large number. As well as over 80% of individuals experience stress and anxiety directly related to clutter in their living spaces. So it's important to know that your environment directly affects your well-being. And we can do a lot for our clients, for our loved ones, when we help them keep their spaces organized. Okay? So there's a little bit of an exercise also. If you're able to stand up, if not, it could be a chair exercise too. You can do it in your office. You could do it at home. So if you're able, you can stand up, and it's a stretching exercise. But it also exemplifies how, if you have a space that's free of clutter, you can really benefit from it. So if you stand up, put your arms next to your legs and raise your arms to make yourself into a T. Okay. And then lower your body, the left arm, as you can make it as long as you can. And you stretch your whole body on this side. You'll feel that stretch. Okay. And then you lower yourself, go back to the T position, and then you repeat it. And you stretch your right side. If you had your space filled, you couldn't do this. But look how beneficial. If you do this once or twice a day, I promise you, you will feel the effects of this. It also gives you a time to breathe. The power of a fresh, organized home. So, the benefits of simplifying: you have more space, you will increase your energy, you will feel more joy. Organizing is not about getting rid of things. A lot of seniors are very afraid of the word organizing. They immediately think they're going to throw my things away. All my memories will go. I won't remember my loved ones. I won't remember my memories. It's not about getting rid of things. It's about keeping what truly matters and making that space for what you really need in your new life, whatever it is, if it's in senior living, if it's in your family's home. It's important to keep what you really need and what truly matters. And some seniors have said they felt 10 years younger. I hear it with my clients all the time. I have a lady that every time I come from organizing her home, she calls me when I'm on my way home to say, my house looks so much better. I feel so much healthier. It's incredible how it really affects them. So, I have another exercise for you guys to write down one item, only one item in your home that you are willing to let go of today. And if you would like to share in the chat, that would be great. Okay, next slide, please. So, some simple steps to start decluttering today. You might have heard a few of them already. Some of them are just my little take on them. The first one is check your own inventory, because I was an administrative director for many years. Inventory was huge. I did inventory lists for everything, and I do it at home. So before you head to the store, check what you really, really need. Check what you have in those, pantries. Check what you have in the fridge before you head out to Publix and see the buy one, get ones, because they're all very enticing, but you don't really need it. Okay. The 1 year rule. If you haven't used it in a year, even if the top is beautiful, even if it still has, the tickets, consider letting it go. Give it to someone you love. Donate it. A lot of people can use it. Start small. I always say, don't even think about, a room. Let's start with a drawer. You don't have to worry about the room first. Check a drawer. Let's see. Can you keep, donate? Maybe we can try selling it, or just toss it. If it's broken, let's toss it. Okay. Sentimental items. This is a big one for a lot of people. Keep a few pieces from a set. So if you have a huge china cabinet, you might not need to move with the whole thing. But let's say maybe you can keep a couple of the dishes. You might use the smaller ones. Keep a couple of the tea cups just for memories. You don't need to keep the whole set, etc. And then this is a very good one. Choose multi-purpose furniture. There's great pieces. Nowadays, they make ottomans that are storage pieces. You can, get a lot of foldable tables that become, large, small, etc. You don't have to have as much furniture as in the past. Now you can really get a lot of functionality from less, than before. Next. So my closing remarks. So what area in your home do you struggle to keep organized? Is it the places that you use the most, or is it the storage areas that you never go to? When space is limited, working on a step-by-step plan, thinking creatively, and using multifunctional pieces can make all the difference. I just say bring a paper and a pen, and work on step 1, step 2, step 3. Don't tackle or think you should tackle it all in one day. It's impossible. So if you give yourself steps and then you'll feel crossing them out one step at a time, you'll have that sense of achievement. Everything is possible. And for everything else, feel free to call me. Okay. Thank you so much. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out. All right. And next is Julissa Paris.
Yes, that was wonderful, Miriam. Great
Thank you.
advice, great, very useful tips. Thank you so much. And
All right.
now that you are in a positive mental health space, your home is decluttered and organized and ready to sell, let's hear from our realtor, our professional realtor in our presentation today, Julissa Perez. She is a real estate consultant at the Santos Group at Keller Williams Realty in South Florida. She specializes in helping homeowners, buyers, and investors make smart real estate decisions, whether it's buying a first home, selling to upgrade or downsize, or building wealth through investment properties. Her team also offers full service property management for clients who want peace of mind with their rentals. They focus on education, transparency, and personalized service to guide people through every stage of the real estate journey with confidence. So thank you so much for joining us today, Julissa. We are excited to hear about your tips for downsizing from a realtor's perspective.
Thank you so much. I'm super excited to be here. And I wanted to let everyone know that downsizing is about more life and less stress and building a future that fits your needs. And downsizing and retirement can open new possibilities and reduce the burden of maintaining too large of a home. In fact, with Realtor.com, they've done studies that baby boomers are now the largest share of both sellers and buyers of homes, because maybe many of them are trying to move for retirement, to be near family, or just to find a smaller home that better fits their new lifestyle. And there's top reasons for downsizing, and Miriam went over some of them because we work hand in hand when it comes to the part of decluttering. But a lot of people are looking to downsize to save money, cut costs for lower bills, reduce taxes, insurance, be able to free up more cash to be able to travel, to enjoy their hobbies, or just enjoy time with their grandkids. Also, less maintenance of a property equals more freedom. Again, being able to trade house chores for time doing what they love. Like Miriam mentioned, health and accessibility is super important. Being able to do it with time, to be able to be in a single story home, one level, which has safety features and equals, that means that they're able to age in place more comfortably. Lifestyle upgrades, being able to move closer to family, to find their dream town or travel freely. And time matters. Downsizing by choice, when you're able to, avoids a forced move later on and relieves your family from any stress later on as well. And usually the question that we're always asked, when is the right time? The right time is when you can do it by choice, as I mentioned, not by force. Being able to do it earlier, rather than a necessity, like you're having health issues, really allows it to be a smoother transition. Being able to do it while you don't have any mobility issues really helps, because you can make better choices. The process is less stressful. But obviously, we're with you along the way, making sure that every process is smooth from the beginning to end. But we always recommend that you do it when you're able to do it, do the right choice. And when your house it seems to be a burden, like you have too many big costs, the house is too big, or you have too much to maintain on the property. And finding your new best home, when we meet with our clients, we make sure that we do a consultative approach, finding out what are their priorities, what matters the most to them, meaning if the location is important, they want to be near family, what's the important on the layout, on their lifestyle. Do they want to be near a walkable town? Do they want to be, as I mentioned, closer to family in a warmer weather or cooler weather, depending on what exactly meets their top non-negotiables? And also prioritize on accessibility. Being able to do your choices ahead of time means you're able to look for those single level homes, being able to look at for example, walk-in showers, an attached garage, easy entry, making sure that it's future-proof for their life, for those unexpected health issues in the future. And when we explore options, we recommend looking, if they're looking for condos or townhomes, a lot of families are looking for a lock and leave lifestyle. Like they want to be able to travel around the world and be able to have a property that they don't have to worry about any exterior maintenance. And when it's a condo or a townhouse, is already included. They're also looking for 55 plus active adult communities, meaning communities that are specific for 55 years or older, which include a lot of social activities, low maintenance living. It's more secure and offers a lot of activities for them. If they're looking for smaller single family homes, it gives them more of a familiar feel. They're able to maintain it easier because it's a lot smaller than what they're used to. Or there's options of assisted living or independent living communities. If they're looking for an assisted living community, it's for those that need the support with daily activities, but they still want the independence. And with independent living communities is for active, self-sufficient retirees who want amenities and community. And we're glad that we have one of our colleagues here who's our senior care advisor that can really help make sure that they match the lifestyle with the budget of the person that's looking for that type of community. And we always provide different tips for house house hunting. We usually let them know to look at the areas that they're looking at during the weekends or during the weekdays, just to make sure that the area is what is feasible for them. Does it have the shopping centers that they're looking for? Does it have the park that is walkable? That is some of the non-negotiables that they have. Do they have amenities nearby? Like, for example, I have some active seniors that like to salsa dance. Is there a studio nearby? So different amenities that are around the area that they're looking at that are important to them. I make sure that I let them know to look in those areas. Also recommendation, are they looking for new construction versus resale? Do they want to look for a property that's more modern, convenient, that they don't have to worry about any upkeep at the front end? Or do they want to resell, meaning a home that has been, that is not new, but may need some upkeep at the beginning, but they want to be able to get that property because of the location, because of the charm, or just because it fits their future needs? Also, if they're looking for near family or healthcare, what options are there that are the non-negotiables? Then preparing the home for sale. This is a lot of the items that Miriam touched base on, which is decluttering. It's really important to start early because we know that a lot of our clients, they've been in their properties for 20, 30, 40 years. So there's a lot of memories, there's a lot of heart, and there's a lot of time that they have in place that may not be as easy for them to let go of many things. So we make sure that we prepare them in advance. We definitely recommend senior move managers like Miriam because they really help them make sure that they keep the method of keeping, donating, or tossing, making sure that they really truly keep the things that are going to make their next chapter a lot smoother and less stressful. And when it comes to to preparing the home. We make sure that they stage it right, that it's clean, that they keep neutral coloring so it could be inviting and move-in ready. And if there's any small repairs, like we just let them know that make sure that they do the minimal. Like for example, if there's a touch of paint, or if there's frames that they've had in place for years and there's holes, just to make sure that they cover them. But we let them know not to spend major money on making major changes to sell the property, because we want to make sure that they're saving instead of spending. So it's minor details just to prepare the property to be able to sell it. But we always recommend for them to look for professional help, like move experts like Miriam, to look at for help with elder care lawyers like Bobby, to make sure that they review their estate plans, their titles, and make sure that everything aligns with their financial and legal goals. Okay. And then our expertise with pricing and marketing. We make sure that when we have our consultative meeting with the client, we make sure that we do a comparative market analysis, letting them know how much they will be able to sell their property for. Obviously, there's a lot of clients that they've been there for years, and they have a particular price in mind. But we make sure that we cover the analysis, letting them know what were the recent sales, how much we think that the property can be sold for, and we prepare it accordingly, because we want to make sure that the price is right, because that's the key in order to be able to sell the property efficiently, and making sure that we don't leave any money on the table, and that they get a good return, and maximize the profit for the client. And also we let them know about the timing. Like right now, if we're to place a property on the market in Miami-Dade or Broward County, it's taking about 103 days to sell, as long as the pricing is right. We take that into consideration because there's a lot of moving parts. Like for example, if the person is planning to sell the property and with those proceeds buy another property, we have to make sure that the timing is right. So because there's usually like a domino effect, depending, each situation is different, but we make sure that we maximize the pricing, the timing, and the strategy to make sure that everything runs smoothly and accordingly. All this will reduce their stress, and making sure that the marketing is taken hand in hand. So when it comes to affording their next home, we what we do is we make sure that we provide the client with a seller's net sheet. What the seller's net sheet does is gives them a list of all the costs that are involved in the sale of the property. For example, things to consider is if they have a mortgage. A lot of boomers or retirees may not have a mortgage because they've been there 30, 40 years, and a lot of times their mortgage is paid off. So they may not need to worry about a mortgage. But we do, if there is a mortgage, we try to include the mortgage. We let them know about the sales taxes that they need to pay when they're going to transfer the property from their name to a new buyer, and all the costs that are involved in the closing, plus any property taxes. For example, the property taxes are usually paid in arrears. Like we usually pay our taxes the year before. So we let them know how much they're responsible for until the time of closing, and then what the new buyer will be responsible for. If they're in homeowners associations, we also let them know how much they will be responsible until closing, and any other costs. Sometimes there's owners that may have a PACE loan, which sometimes they forget. PACE loans are usually for impact windows or roofs that they were motivated to incorporate as part of their taxes, and sometimes they forget, and that becomes a second mortgage practically. So we make sure that we find out all that information and include it in the seller's net sheet so they can know exactly how much they're going to be netting from the sale of their property based on the pricing that we select. Why is that important? Because a lot of times um, they're not provided with that information and they're kind of blind on how much they're really going to get. And it's important for them to know, especially if they're going to be looking at another property, a smaller property, so to know how much they're going to afford, to know how much, if they're going to use solely those savings to purchase this property, or that's going to be part of their down payment. So that's important, and we always provide them with that information. So with home equity and financing options, as I mentioned earlier, many retirees are buying the properties cash because they have a lot of equity in their properties. A lot of them may not have a mortgage. So for example, if there's a property that their property is for sale, let's say they bought it at 100,000 40 years ago, and now they're gonna sell it for 800, they're gonna make over $100,000 in over like they're gonna make a substantial amount of money, and out of that amount, like 100,000 will not there will be exempt from capital gains, which is really important. So what they do is they either buy with those proceeds the next property cash, or they use the funds to be able to give a large down payment and be able to use the rest for savings or for traveling or taking the family. So they have substantial funds to be able to utilize. Also, if they decide that they're not going to pay cash, but they're going to give a large down payment, it eliminates them from having to get a 30-year mortgage on their next property, or versus a 15 or 30-year mortgage. A lot of times we have clients that rather sell first, so they don't have to worry about double payments later, or they rather buy first, and then when they sell their property, they're able to move smoother to their next property. But it's important to have the discussion with the client, because a lot of times if they buy first and they still haven't sold their property, there may be some financial implications there. So we make sure that it's going to be something smooth for them, that they're not going to have any stress later on having to pay two payments of mortgages. And we always recommend in this case, to really work with a financial advisor to make sure that they're using the funds properly and being able to making sure that the selling and buying fits into their long-term plan. And also Bobby comes in as well because she can advise on protecting their assets and planning for the future care of their needs.
So
And
let's
then
just wrap up, Jaleesa, if you could, please. We are running out of time, but thank you so much. I love the presentation.
Okay. Well, really quick with the transition planning, they have the option of being able to sell the property or rent it, because sometimes, and Bobby will come in that aspect as well, if their monthly funds is not gonna allow them to be able to purchase, they can always rent their property and be able to move into a community or move with their family. And when they do that, we can rent the property for them, and we can also manage it for them, because there's a lot of clients that they don't want to deal with the day-to-day of the tenants or of the upkeep of the property. So we do that. And then tax considerations is just to mention that when it's a single person selling the property, they have a tax exception up to $250,000. And if it's a married couple, $500,000. What that means is that if your property sold for $700,000 and you're married, you would only have to worry about $100,000 in capital gains. And there's different ways that you can try to reduce that, is by keeping receipts for any major improvements that you've done to the property, so it doesn't cost you a lot. And when we speak about all these taxes, we always recommend expert in taxes, but also we let them know in their seller's net sheet, we include any cost that they're going to have associated with real estate commissions, with sales property taxes, and any closing costs or mortgages that they need to worry about, to make sure that they know upfront what their costs are and what their nets are going to be. And again, downsizing can bring freedom, comfort, and peace of mind. We always say to focus on right sizing to fit your next chapter. Lean on the professionals. Like, we're here to help you. Miriam as the move manager, Alex as the senior care advisor, and Bobby as the elder care lawyer. So you have a team in us that we can be able to guide you all step of the way to make sure that your move is as smooth and confident as possible. And we really thank you. We're here to support you. My contact information is there on my social media. We have our website, and this is a QR code in case you want to be able to scan that. We can be able to provide you a free home valuation and be able to provide you any information that you may need about your current property.
Perfect, Julissa.
And
Thank you
thank you.
so much. That was very informative and helpful. And now that you've got your plan in place to sell, well, let's find you your best new home with Alex Escobar. Alex is the owner of Assisted Living Locators, an agency which helps seniors make informed decisions and find the best community to live where they can receive proper and necessary care and support and thrive. He and his team have extensive training and have spent countless hours inspecting communities, saving you a lot of legwork, a lot of time, a lot of research. He has already met the staff, inspected the community, reviewed the state reports, and he can best advise families on senior living and care options. Alex is a passionate customer service-oriented professional with unmatched work ethics from his own personal experience of navigating the complexities of assisted living and skilled nursing care for his own parents, his own loved ones. He decided to help other families. He has received numerous awards and accolades, is heavily involved in his community, and is a devoted husband and father who has resided in South Florida for 35 years. So welcome, Alex. Let's please, I'm excited to hear about your senior care options for their next home.
Thank you, Bobby. Thank you. So I'm going to go into different communities and different options that are out there, independent, assisted, and memory care communities as well. So in that first slide, I'm going to talk a little bit about the history of assisted living or communities in general, which started in the late 70s. The exact time and place is not, documented, but roughly around that area. And communities, independent and assisted living communities, were originally started to help the seniors strictly with their ADLs or activities of daily living, whether it's bathing, grooming, help with eating. That was their original intention. As the need for additional service increased, there were different licenses that were created. And we're fortunate here that in the state of Florida, we're one of the few states that have different licenses where you get kind of borderline a nursing home. So that first license, which is the limited nursing services, allows any nurses working at the communities to do whatever's under the scope of their license. Some examples includes catheters, taking care of them, cleaning them, changing them, injections as well. Anybody with diabetes, it allows them to stay in that community while still getting the care that they need. From that demand for additional service kept growing. The ECC, or Extended Congregate Care, was the next license that was developed, and it also allowed for additional care, permaports, feeding tubes, and this license is actually almost a gray area, I want to call it, between an assisted living and a skilled nursing or a nursing home. From that, there was an additional license as well created, which is the limited mental health. And this is more for individuals with any bipolar or psychiatric type diagnosis. It allowed them to leave that kind of institutional settings and move into more of a residential setting. And that last bullet that I have, which is the continuum care retirement communities. These are actually large campuses that are going to have all the levels of care within them. When you originally move in, typically start off on the independent level. And then from there, as you need a little more help, more hands on help, you move on to the assisted, the memory care, and the skilled nursing. These are also considered assisted living facilities, except the big difference between these and your typical standard ones that they have a buy in. So you buy into, and it's basically kind of similar to buying a long term care policy, insurance policy up front, where they're guaranteeing that they're going to take care of you even if your money runs out, whether it's for 3 years, 5 years, and so forth. And they're all slightly different. In that next slide, I'm going to talk about independent living, which is a great option for anyone that's looking for any type of additional supportive services, or anybody that's also living at home as a homeowner, but just the upkeepings of the house and the day to day are getting too overwhelming. So independent living is basically like a resort style community. A lot of them will have pools, theater rooms, gyms, activities, and I like to describe them as a never ending cruise ship, basically. What's included is your water, electricity. Some have Wi-Fi, some have cable. Transportation to doctor's appointments within a certain radius. Trips to stores. Wide range of different activities. Your meals. Some have two, some have three. It varies, and all the maintenance inside and out. So you don't have to basically worry about anything, and housekeeping as well. They typically start at about $2,500. And some have second person. So if it's a couple, you could stay in the same room and just pay a smaller fee. And again, it helps seniors move into that independent portion of the community for those additional supportive services. That next slide talks about assisted living, which is more of a hands-on. So in an assisted living community, which could also be started off at independent, and now you're to that point where you need a little more hands-on. It's going to include everything that independent living has, except now you start adding on the hands-on or the assisted portion of it. This is where you're to the point where you need a little more cueing reminders, maybe help or supervision with bathing, dressing, toileting, or transferring. And all of that is determined by a nurse at the community. So basically, a nurse will do an assessment and kind of determine at what level you're at. And they all have kind of vary slightly depending from each community. And that next slide gives you an overview of assisted living and everything that's included. So basically, it's going to cover the same for independent and assisted, or very similar. It's going to include all your utilities, transportations, outings, activities, and meals. And it's all included in the big benefit that it's just one bill. So you're not paying 5, 6, 7 bills, you know, on a monthly basis. A lot easier to manage, a lot easier to do. Um, and then again, going back to the levels of care, each community is going to do their own, and it's typically standard anywhere from 1 to 6 levels of care. Some have a point system, and some of them do kind of what's called the all inclusive, basically. And just so that you have a better understanding of the levels of care, this slide shows you how it might look like. And again, this is just an example. Every community is different. On the far left, you have what's considered independent, which is basically a level 0, where you don't need any help with your ADLs or activities of daily living. You're able to do everything on your own. You're just benefiting from the meals, the housekeeping, laundry services, as well as all the benefits from the different activities and socialization. Level 1, there's an example. You might start needing a little bit of help with cues and reminders. Level 2, maybe medication management, more cues and reminders, and maybe a little bit of assistance or supervision with bathing, grooming. Level 3, and so forth. And again, each community is going to be slightly different. The next slide is going to talk about briefly about memory care. I'm not going to go too much into it, but this is also another option that you have that's more advanced. They are included also in a lot of the communities. They're slightly different, but it's more of a hands-on eyes and a secured environment for any individuals that are wanderers. And it's a higher ratio of caregivers to patients at these memory care communities. Um, Several reasons why to consider moving into a community, whether it's independent, assisted, or memory care. A lot of the individuals on the independent side, they're looking for those additional supports, and also might be just exhausted from the upkeeping of being a homeowner. That reason that the one at the top, caregiver burnout, is one that I see a lot. Friends and family that are involved, taking care of somebody, it's a 24-hour task and it gets very exhausting. So that might be a reason. You might also start at home, paying for home care, but after some time, when you need more and more hours, it might get to the point where it's very expensive. You might also have family that's out of town or no family here, so you need you need that 24-hour help, and moving into one of these communities could be very beneficial. Also, the benefits from socialization and interaction. A lot of individuals might be at home, they might get the help in the morning and in the evening when everybody's home, but during the day they're at home by themselves and they start experiencing loneliness. As well as modern life for the direct family is way too busy and they don't have the time to give the elders or the seniors the proper amount of hours. That next slide talks about different finances and payment sources. Long-term care is one that I see a lot. If you have one, it's a huge benefit. It's something that you could possibly start looking into. If you have a financial advisor, might want to reach out to them. War veterans aid and attendance is also something that if you did serve, a really good one as well, that can provide additional benefits. Any savings, investments, bridge loans as well, those are all different options. Retirement money, of course, whether it's a Roth, 401k, all of these can help fund, as well as any other resources. Medicaid, which Bobby is going to talk about shortly, could be another as well payment source or resource that you could use. That next slide talks about the services that I provide. As Bobby mentioned earlier, I am local. I've lived in South Florida, so I'm very familiar with the area here. I focus on the Broward area, and I've also personally visited the majority of the assisted living communities, independent and memory care communities. And any recommendation that I make to any family, I always check behind the curtains, make sure that there's no type of elder abuse cases going on, that all the communities are up to date with any and all compliance, state, federal. And I also always ask myself, is this a community that I would place my mom? If the answer is no, then it's one that I will not make a recommendation. The next slide talks about some of the testimonials um, that I've received throughout working, and feel free to look me up as well as reach out to me if you want additional details and additional information to learn more about your different options. Again, whether it's independent, assisted, a small community of 6-bed residential, or a larger one, more than happy to help. And now we're going to hear from our host, Bobby Meloro, about important legal considerations when it comes to real estate, and also about a government program that can help you afford an assisted living community if that is your next home. Bobby has over 25 years experience as an attorney, and she helps her clients get their ducks in a row, protect their family, and save their dough by protecting assets and avoiding probate through proper estate planning, and by helping clients qualify for and obtain Medicaid long-term care benefits to help pay for their home health aid, assisted living, or nursing home. Bobby, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Alex. Thank you, everybody, for your wonderful presentations. So those are my ducks because they're all in a row, as you will see, and I will help you do the same for your family. Some legal considerations as you're thinking about downsizing that are very important. So number one most important legal document you need in your toolbox is called a durable power of attorney. Okay, you have to give written permission to somebody that you trust to be able to make decisions for you if you get sick. All the things we've talked about today are when, in the ideal circumstance, you've planned ahead, you're downsizing because it's something you're choosing to do, and you have plenty of time to get everything done. However, the majority of the time, it's a crisis situation because people are notorious for not planning ahead. So if there's an emergency, if you get sick, who can step in and talk to Julissa and list your home for sale? Who can work with Alex and find a community for you? Who can hire Miriam to declutter and organize all of your things? Somebody needs your written permission to do that for you. So you need to have a durable power of attorney. Everyone over 18 should have one. If there's ever some kind of an accident, this person can make phone calls for you, sign papers for you, pay your bills for you. Super important. If you don't have one, then your family gets the pleasure of going to court, which nobody ever wants to do. It's super expensive, it's super burdensome, it's super stressful. They would have to go to court and get a court order to make decisions for you and become your legal guardian. So don't put your family through that. Get your durable power of attorney in place. That is the most important tool your loved ones will need. So, and then you also want to protect your real estate from probate, right? Part of what we do is we try to keep people out of court. We don't want people to have to go to court to get a guardianship. We don't want people to have to go to court for a probate after a loved one passes away. If the deed to your home is in your own individual name, and you pass away, that home has to go through a court process called probate to clear title. You can avoid that by making sure you have the proper deed. We have something in Florida that not many states have. You should take advantage of it. It's a wonderful tool. It's called a ladybird deed. It's also called an enhanced life estate deed. And basically it says, I still own this home and I am the only owner for as long as I live. But if I pass away, I want title of this home to go to, and you could name a loved one. You could name a trust if you have a family trust in place. And that clears title upon your death so that title passes automatically and no court order is needed. So get that in place. If you're planning to sell in the future, it's okay. It protects it just during that interim period when it's for sale. If you're planning to own your home for many more years, very important that the right deed is in place. Then we talked a little bit about affordability, and Alex touched on this in his presentation. There's a company called Genworth that does a long-term care survey every couple of years. The last one was done in 2023. In South Florida, the average cost for an assisted living was $52.50 per month. So that can be a little unsustainable for people. Sometimes they need a little financial assistance to be able to afford that. So we deal a lot with this government program called the Medicaid Long-Term Care Program, which helps to cover the cost of assisted living. So you can pay for your assisted living in 3 different ways. Maybe you have long-term care insurance. Most people don't, because even that is very expensive. Maybe you have enough savings and you can just pay and write a check every month to your assisted living. If you don't, if there's a little bit of a shortfall, right? If your Social Security is $2,000 a month and your assisted living community costs $4,000 a month, where are you going to come up with that, shortfall of $2,000 a month? That's where the Medicaid long-term care program can be a big help. So the average savings for someone on this program in an assisted living community is about $1,900 per month or $25,000 per year. It can make all the difference between being able to afford your assisted living community and not. There is a wait list for this program. So again, let's plan ahead. Let's not be in a crisis situation and let's not have to urgently move, because it can take a few months, even in the best case scenario, even with my help, to get through this wait list. So you want to plan ahead, get on the wait list while you're decluttering, while you're listing your home for sale, while you're working with Alex to find your new home. Let's get you on the wait list for this benefit. And we help counsel you through that process. To determine if you're eligible for this program, there's 2 aspects. One is, Alex touched upon these activities of daily living, which is, you need help with some things. That's why you need assisted living. Maybe you're unsteady on your feet. You need help taking a shower or getting dressed or preparing meals or, transportation, things like that. So that's the physical component. You do need help with some things. Then there's a financial component, and that's where an elder law attorney comes in. This program is based on financial need. They look at income, they look at assets. We look at income and assets first. We can tell you if you qualify, and if you don't, we know the Medicaid rules very well, and we can always find a solution to help you qualify in a Medicaid compliant way. We can shelter income or assets as needed. So the financial eligibility requirements right now: income of $2,901 per month. If you're over, it's okay. There's a solution. We can set up something called a qualified income trust for you. Countable assets have to be $2,000, which is, that income level goes up every year. There's a cost of living adjustment. The asset limit has never gone up since I've been practicing. It's $2,000. That's what gets most people. We can shelter assets if they're over in a Medicaid compliant way. And certain assets count and certain assets don't count. That's important to bear in mind too. Jaleesa touched on in her presentation about selling versus renting. Sometimes talk to an elder law attorney when you're going through this process, because sometimes it's better to rent than it is to sell, because your homestead is not a countable asset. Rental property is not a countable asset. So we could set up a rental property solution for you so that you can qualify for this program. Other things that don't count are one vehicle. You can have a vehicle that doesn't count as an asset. The way retirement IRAs and 401ks work are the principal balance does not count as an asset, but the monthly income does. So we go through all of those things with you. We explain how it works, and we figure out how to make sure that you're eligible and your application gets approved. So this is our final slide, which is contact information for all of us. I'm going to take a look and see if there's any questions that need to be answered. In the meantime, this is our contact information. This recording will be sent to everybody, so you can peruse it at your leisure and go through it. Reach out to any of us individually if you ever would like to. If you have follow-up questions after our presentation today, we thank you so much for your time and spending your lunch hour with us. Thank you very much to our presenters, Miriam and Alex and Jaleesa, for all of your professionalism and your time and attention and advice and tips that you've given today, all very valuable. So I made an announcement earlier about popping your questions in the chat. If you joined late and didn't hear that, there's a chat box here at the bottom of your screen. There's a toolbar with a chat box, and you can type your questions if you'd like to ask them now. There is one that asks, how does somebody get on the wait list for the Medicaid long-term care program? So every county, and it depends on where you live, the county that you live in has an agency that runs this waitlist program. We can tell you, reach out to me separately. I can tell you what county that is. I can provide you with the phone number, but it involves a lengthy screening call where they ask you many, many questions about your situation, what kind of help you need, what kind of help you get. And we know all of those questions that they're going to ask you, and we go through them with you in advance to make sure you put your best possible foot forward. And that is how and then based on your answers to those questions, you get a priority score, and that determines how long you'll sit on the wait list for. So that is the short answer. So I will get with you and get you the phone number for your county agency. All right. Well, that is all. And again, if anybody has follow-up questions later, please feel free to reach out to any of us individually. Any final comments from the panel before we sign off?
Nothing here.
All right. Have a
Good.
great
Thank you for
rest of
joining
the
us.
day, everyone. Yes, thanks so much. Have a great day. Okay.
Thank you.